Well, hello. I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This week I have quite a lot of Central European pens and a little bit from Southern Europe. So let's take a look at the pens. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to talk about any of the pens you saw here, my repairs, or possibly my upcoming vintage restoration video, please feel free to leave a comment down below and join in the conversation. So let's take a look at the pens. Alright, so first from Hungary, which is a country with currently some interesting issues going on with its government. We have a Prima 61. Of course, this quite predates the current government. This dates from communist Hungary. Interestingly, when I write with it, you're going to see that it has a Pelikan nib. This is my first impressions pen from this week, and I think you saw my first impressions were quite impressed. A Kaco Kaco Retro. I think Kaco Edge might be my next one. I don't remember. I have a Marshal pen from the Netherlands. I have a Penkala SW68 that is made probably either in Croatia or in Germany. I'm not sure. I have a Platinum 3776, which was just unveiled last week after sitting there since May without writing. This, of course, was part of my ongoing attempt to film a video on the whole line. I have my... I reviewed this originally as a Lanxivi color paint jewelry pen. Actually, looking at the pen, it's called a Hero 767. So I've been told Lanxivi is actually a marketing brand, marketing name, so made by Hero 767, yeah. Next is a Delta Serena, broad, and then finally a Stipula Etruria Prisma, which has been a bit of a naughty pen. So, real quick, that's just a pump to circulate condensation out of my furnace. Nothing to worry about, the furnace isn't going to turn on because I turned it down. Okay, so, this was awful. Did a lot of repairs, have a whole video on that. Finally took the feed out of this. Tried both of these feeds and ended up putting the Delta Serena feed in here. Because the Delta Serena, if you'll remember, was broken. This little bit here had broken off from the barrel. Now you can kind of see some glue there. Yes, I repaired it at somebody's suggestion. So, hey, yay, the Serena's writing again. So, happy about that. Now the Serena gave up its feed to the Stipula. So I took the feed from the Hero, put it in the Serena. Dandy. And then I had the Stipula feed in this pen sitting around useless, so I thought, just going to try it. I've written several pages with this pen. I mean, I never really cared for the pen, but I've written several pages with it. No problem. So somehow the combination of this feed and this nib in this pen doesn't work. Haven't figured it out. They all look the same to me. It doesn't make sense and I'm upset. But I've got this pen writing. That's the main thing. So, on that note, I should illustrate it by writing with these pens for you. As always, I'm going to use my Bomo art journal, also Hungarian, although quite a bit more contemporary than this Prima pen. I'm not even going to try to guess an age for the Prima pen because I don't know. I have not been able to find out either. So that's one of the troubles with my interest in Central European pens. Sometimes you just can't find anything that you want to find out. That you can with the more well-known pens like a Wall Eversharp. Hey, Skyline video? Sure, lots of websites out there to help you. Want to do a Hungarian Prima? Good luck. So the search continues, and I may just do the video without the research. So we'll see. But let's see how these puppies write. Alright, so my first pen is a Prima 61 made in Hungary. How do I know it's a Prima? Says so. Right there on an actually very attractive barrel. I can't quite get all the staining out up here. I have tried, even with a Q-tip, and I'm just not succeeding. I also see a 109 here. I don't know what it means. And a little doohickey, I can't quite read, S2. A brass mechanism for the feet, or for the piston, so that's really cool. Definitely some design down here. There's more to this pen than you would think. Uncap it. It reveals a slightly chewed upon feed, but it's working, so I'm not going to argue. And then, what? I don't know if that was added on later or what, but it's a Pelikan oblique medium nib. And judging by how weirdly they fit together, I have the feeling it's not original to the pen. So Prima 61. And it's a Pelikan. I feel like that should be emphasized. Oblique medium. The ink, Herbin Lidite. I was using Google Translate right before filming this, so hopefully I don't butcher the pronunciations too much, but I don't know, something about French, I really struggle to pronounce it. Spanish, I can pronounce that. Polish, I can pronounce it. Chinese, not so much, but I try. That's my attempt at saying that's my squirrel. No, it's a pen, but I totally forgot the word for pen right now. I'm sure it'll come back later. To jest moje piero? Might have mispronounced that. Das ist meine Feder. Okay, sorry. Stop with the languages. What little I know. I find languages interesting and I pick up phrases, but I'm really focusing on Chinese right now, so trying to actually learn to speak it. So, and as you can tell, I've got a long ways to go. But anyway, Kaco Retro. I just fell in love when there's that clip that just like, yeah, I want it. Which is a stupid reason, but there it is. Hooded nib. And I've been happy with it so far. It just writes very well. Even if I made a big hash of its name when I filmed the original video, or the first impressions video, I should say. Atramentis. Cucumber. Usually I can smell it when I use it in a pen because it's a scented ink, but not in this one. Even when I hold up my nose, I barely smell it. And I don't know if it's the hooded nib or what it is. But it seems weird to scent your inks anyway. Next, from the Netherlands, probably the 1950s, a Marshal. There were a surprising number of small manufacturers that you've never heard of in the Netherlands. Nice Parker-esque clip, but they won't get in trouble with it because they're Dutch. Plain finial. I think I just showed you it's a button filler. That's a teensy thing. I don't like to post my pens, but this one has to be posted. And the nib's a cute little teensy thing too. And I think I showed you before, it's a warranted 14 karat first. And what? Shoot, I knew what it said down below there, but I've forgotten again. Oh well, I'll remember eventually. So, Marshal, I don't have a model or anything. I know nothing about it. Except it's 1L in Marshal. Apologies. The pen, I really need to replace this chair. Califolio, which is supposedly vintage-friendly ink. Aurora. Not Aurora Borealis, just Aurora. It's kind of a nice reddish orange. I like it. I've actually been impressed with the Califolio line as I've learned more about it. Don't have very many, but I like the ones I have. This one, unsure whether it was made in Germany or in Croatia, because I guess they had factories in both places. But in the 1930s, a Moster Penkala, it has an extra fine nib, possibly. And oops, turn this the right way. Moster Penkala, and that's all the more you know unless you look in the box, which when I review it, you'll see inside the box. Because yes, I have the box. The nib, I feel like I need to spend some time doing macro photography, because I would like to know. We'll go with extra fine because that's what it says on the barrel. Although it could be a replacement part at its age. Oh, I forgot to write the other stuff. SW68, whatever that means. And number 930. The ink in it is Diamine Sunset. And I think you can tell this is a very wet writer. Very good pen, and I have a little cultural information I got from a viewer about this particular brand that I'll share when I do the video on the pen, because I have to save something for the video, right? This came back from sitting last week. My Platinum 3776 started up like a champ. Has the Yamanaka finish. I like this finish a lot. I mean, they might be just injection molded pens, but they're very good injection molded pens. When I tell you that this is a soft medium nib, don't think flex. I really do mean soft. You get a little line variation, not a lot. I mean, maybe you can push yours further if you want, see how far it goes. I'm not going to push mine. And now, in my little $10 pen or so, I have the feed from a Stipula Etruria. We won't talk about the price for that one, but let's say significantly more. And you saw how horrible that pen was to write with when I did a first impressions. So I'm going to go with what this is. It's a Hero 767. I'll write in my notes here, Stipula feed. And I have several pages of writing with this pen I could show you. There is not a problem with it writing. So, something about this feed with the Stipula. Herbin. This one was the one I was most afraid of. Ambre de Birmanie. Ambre? Maybe that sounds more right. So, Burma Amber. For those of you who couldn't figure that out. Then I have my Delta Serena, which has not been seen for many years in this show or anywhere in my writing because of it was broken. Since I purchased the pen, Delta is no more. This was a steel nibbed offering at the time, titanium coated. So it has that in common with the Stipula, I suppose. I didn't quite glue this piece on back in the right spot, and I didn't realize it until it was too late. So I'm just going with it and hoping for the best. This was and still is a very wet writer. The ink in it, I don't remember. Oh, Giban J. Herbin. Orange Indien. Indian orange, for those of you who couldn't guess that. I think that one's a pretty easy one. And finally, the admittedly, while faulty, lovely Stipula Etruria Prisma Magma, which I think is just a gorgeous pen. And I know some of you did not like it, but that comes down to individual taste, and it appeals to my taste. One thing I've discovered I don't like since I did my first impressions, this clip really grabs at your pocket. It's got a sharp jagger in there. But overall, nice pen. Except for the whole writing issue. That right there is what I hoped to get. In fact, let me zoom in. When I bought this pen, that was what was in my mind that I would be getting, is this kind of wet writing with nice variation. Stipula Etruria. Prisma. No, Stipula Etruria. Why does it have to have such a complicated name? Prisma 88. Magma or something. Prisma 88. T-Flex. I've not been brave enough to put Stipula Saffron back in it because that's a difficult ink anyway. But I did put a nice little bit of Diamine. Wow. Ancient Oak? No, that can't be Ancient Oak. It's got to be Autumn Oak. I think I wrote the wrong name. I like their Ancient Copper color, and I think I had that in my brain. I'd like it better if it didn't make all the crusties on the nib, but that's another story. And just to see... I mean, not the wettest. It skipped there. But one of the skips, this skip was my fault. I would say with the Delta feed, not perfect. Definitely wants to stay aligned to the paper just right, but for my purposes, it's giving me the kind of writing that I dreamed of when I bought it. So and that's the trouble with a first impressions video. When you do first impressions, sometimes they are bad. That's why you dress up to go to your job interview, so you give a good first impression. And it's kind of the same thing. You know, this I might have worked on before, and you never would have known my struggles unless I mentioned them when I finally reviewed it. But you got to see it how it was. So I had an interesting comment last week, I think it was in my Pens in Use, about would I ever do a video about how I restore pens. I go in stretches where I restore and stretches when I don't. I think you know from my depressed and tired tone last week, I was just coming off a very busy time. I think you can tell from my tone right now, not so much. Much better week. Going to have a good few weeks here. Plus Thanksgiving break and Veterans Day is a holiday here too, so got some days off coming, and that'll be even better yet. But definitely batteries recharged after a weekend. So what I wanted to do is restore a pen. No, not right now. This is Pens in Use. I'm going to show you the pen, and I'm not going to promise when, because I do have a job, and who knows, I may not have the necessary parts. It all comes down to what I find when I open the pen. And it may turn out it's impossible to repair, but I don't think it'll be that bad. So during the Great Depression, sorry, my microphone running computer. During the Great Depression, Parker Pens started making a Fifth Avenue. Now these were very low-cost pens. The workers making the Fifth Avenue weren't paid as much as the regular Parker workers, but the idea was to put people to work who might otherwise not have work. Parker didn't make money off of these pens. So it's an interesting story that I've wanted to tell when I finally get around to reviewing and, well, restoring first and reviewing this pen. Doesn't look like much. Most of them, because they were made with cheaper materials, are not in the best shape. There's definitely corrosion here. You'll get to see a bit of my philosophy on pen restoration. I don't restore them to like new. Maybe, let me hold this by the microphone, see if you can hear it. That sound was the bits and pieces of the sack inside. I won't open it now because I'm going to save that for the video. Oh, come on, there we go. Fifth Avenue. They didn't even brand it as Parker. It's definitely not the nicest nib. Somewhere I was reading that they're not tipped, but to me it looks tipped. So, it's going to come down to we'll see when I get around to it. So, that is going to be my restoration project, which will take a while. I will try to film each step and show you what I do and what I don't do. So hopefully that's interesting. Some other pens, I'm just grabbing out of sight here. I just wanted to mention a few things about restoration work. This is, where's your cat, buddy? There it is. This is a Parker I started to work on, and I don't know why I stopped. That's what heat does to celluloid. The sack has been removed. Looking inside, I do see the J-bar in there. Well, it wouldn't be a J-bar because it's a button filler, but the bar, the pressure bar. So that must be in decent shape. So really, this one's just going to need a sack and possibly some cleaning, and she'll be good to go. It's a shame about the heat damage because I think it was a very attractive celluloid. I don't know how to fix that. So I think it's something I'm going to have to live with. If you do know how to fix it, please let me know. That's in the future. Sometimes your restoration, like here's a very lovely Boston pen. I fell hard for this pen when I saw the spirally ink window. Now, I do have another pen that's like that now, but man, that's so neat. It does not draw ink. The only thing wrong with it is right here, this is hardened. So sometimes repairs are that simple, except I've got to figure out how to do it. I'm looking at some washers, rubber washers you can buy, and just put on here. Hopefully hold it tight, because it's not tight enough to make a good seal. This Russian pen, Soviet pen, sorry, missing a trim ring there. Possibly my fault, but I don't know that. Okay, that wasn't quite what I meant to do there. I totally somehow I managed to unscrew the wrong part. That could be how the trim ring got lost. It may not have been me. So, looks like a button filler. Hey, can we get the fishy pen writing? Oh. Yeah, if you've got advice on how to fix an accordion filler, fill me in. Otherwise, this will never be fixed. Because it leaks. And I can't fix it. And I don't have a trim ring. And finally, I have a Marquant, nice German pen. Marquant 2000. Purchased on the used market, of course. Looks very 70s. I like the looks. I mean, it's very sharp looking. One problem. Check out the piston. See that? So what do? Of course, I take glue and I glue this piece onto the bottom of this piece. Super glue, probably. Trouble is, I haven't quite figured out how to get in there without breaking things. So sometimes these pens are a mystery for a while. So I hope that gives you a little snapshot of what I do to restore fountain pens. And like I said, I will work on this Fifth Avenue first and put together a video. And I have no promises when, but I'll work on it. And probably film it over several days, piecemeal, showing what I do each time. Probably won't have the neat green screen or anything with the video, but it's not that type of video anyway. So anyway, I thank you for watching. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to talk about any of the pens you've seen here tonight, my upcoming restoration work, maybe some suggestions on a couple of the mysteries that I haven't figured out, I would welcome a comment. If you'd like to comment on my work with the Stipula Etruria, please feel free to leave a comment down below. So as always, I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.